Ask me this question when you're ever thinking about railroads and abandoned lines. What comes to your mind when you think about railroad tunnels? Well, there are lots of things when thinking about railroad tunnels. Workers and individuals would either be injured or killed while working on them due to rocks or freak accidents, having dark or paranormal origins behind them, making them a haunted legend or just to be abandoned from the get go, or leaving it to rot for centuries to occur, like in this time period. However, the one thing an individual hasn't thought about a tunnel is whether or not is if the tunnel has a mind of its own. There are lots of tunnels in the United States alone, particularly 153 tunnels to be exact, with most of them being in California and Washington states. Some of them have been restored and used in operable services that serve railroads and road connections, while others in the country were abandoned by their owners or turned into something else, with a few notable examples being preserved in today's society. However, one of these abandoned tunnels that are historically preserved is the Churchill Tunnel in Virginia, located a bit off the city liner of Richmond, Virginia, the state's capital. Now, individuals have known this tunnel for many things. However, one thing that was known about this tunnel was that it was plagued with the shadows of death at the very start of its existence. It was around the 1870s when the American Civil War had ended a few years prior between the Confederates and the Americans, marking a 5-year long period of war, and the Chesapeake and Ohio Railroad was making expansions into the city, specifically Richmond, Virginia, which was their target. During one of those very expansions into the city, the railroad was looking for a way to extend their track mileage a few miles south of Richmond into the city of Newport News, Virginia, where the coal Pierce owned under Collins P. Huntington's. This very expansion would create connections for the city area and bring in logical ways of exporting goods of coal. This will also expand into the former lines of the Virginia Central Railroad, which had a station in the downtown area section and overall more mileage under the Flint subdivision. However, one key object was in the way in the destruction of making any of those expansions any possible. That being a giant hill in the Churchill area, which was built on thousands of houses, making it a neighborhood for thousands of people living there. However, still determined to make it happen, the Chesapeake and Ohio commissioned an expansion project in 1871 to allow a 4,000-mile tunnel to be constructed under the streets of Churchill neighborhood. The tunnel project will seek to terminate the rail line running west of 17th Street and start digging the tunnel at 18th Street and ending at around 31st Street, which was exactly right under Libby Terrence Park, marking the end of its construction at a cost of nearly $1.2 million. The project went into full approval by the railroad, and the construction process began, extending underneath the city. All was going to plan for its construction, except for one key problem.